Is capitalism broken? Can't think of anything that would taste better with a salad than a Benjamin, right? I mean, this money tastes so good. Just something I get to enjoy. Oh yeah, definitely tastes better with money. Yeah, so check it out. This whole idea of capitalism being broken, it's because we have a new age of individuals that are really curious about this game called socialism, and even a doorstep to communism. And today we're going to put capitalism on trial. Is capitalism a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Should we promote it? We can study it over the last literally 100 years and ask, has it improved things or has it made things worse? And you know what? Today, we're going to get to the bottom of it. Check it out. There's a version of capitalism out there that I love and one that I hate. The one that I love is one that says, hey, I've got this idea how we can push society forward. We can create value that is meaningful. We can change this planet. We can make it better. And capitalism is a great way of doing that because we'll be rewarded for making everything better. And then we can redistribute more wealth, pour more money into better ideas, raise the cost of living, make everything better. But on the other hand, you've got this newer version of capitalism where it's like, hey, let's have an idea, let's make all this money, let's exit as fast as possible, and let's get rich. These two worlds are different, and I'm going to tell you that this fight inside of capitalism is not a good look when you see how socialism is on the rise. About 1 in 4 Americans view socialism favorably, and over the past 3 years, the percent of Americans who favored capitalism decreased by 8%. This begs the question, is capitalism actually good? Or is it in fact broken because it is moving 100% in the wrong direction? So I have in my hand here $10,000. And today it's not a lot of money to me, but this meant the world to me when I started my financial journey. My wife and I, we had a goal when we were in college. We were broke, we were in debt, and we said, man, if we could start a business that could pay us $10,000 every month, because our expenses are only $2,000 or $3,000 a month, we would feel like kings and queens. And we made that our goal. And by the time I graduated college, I had a real estate investment business. I had 25 homes. They weren't paying us 10 grand a month. We were earning $12,000 a month. And I have to tell you, that was an empowering moment in my life because for the first time, I really got to ask myself, what do I want to do? Freedom was a very good thing for me. And if you're watching this channel, chances are you are also a fan of freedom, financial freedom as well, and you want to have more options in your life. But can that really be possible if the economic climate is shifting and the political climate is shifting to basically shut down capitalism? Well, in truth, there is an ugly side to capitalism. Check some of this out from Parlia. Inflation-adjusted wages are the same as they were in the late 1990s, like before we had prolific internet, even as productivity has skyrocketed since then. In other words, we have all of this modern advancement in technology, and people are earning still the same equivalent of money. The top 10% of Americans have over 85% of the wealth, and then multinational corporations often avoid penalties for misdeeds. In other words, they get away with murder. And these are the things in capitalism that we're definitely not proud of. But is there any kind of argument out there that capitalism has done good things? Well, let's see some of those stats. The first thing we should look at is just poverty in general. What's happened over the decades to the stats? Well, over the last few decades, the global spread of capitalism and industrialization has decreased poverty by a staggering margin. The numbers to the right show how many people lived below $1.90 a day. This is what the UN considers abject poverty. In 1950, we had 64% of the global population, 1.6 billion people, living at a poverty level. But by the time we got to 1980, that number from 64% dropped to 43%. And then in 2015, it was measured again, and since then it's gone from 43% to 10%. So when we take a look at the UN's definition of what an impoverished person is, that number is now down to just 10%, which means I hope that in the next decade or two, we can nearly eradicate poverty, period. And it begs the question, is capitalism and industrialization responsible for the fact that population's been going up, but poverty has been going down? This is why each year I see an increase, I believe, of people reaching out to me saying, Kris, I want a free financial game plan. I want to know how to do better. That's this conversation right here. And if capitalism is what has brought us here, then should we forsake it and move on to this whole idea of socialism? How has capitalism impacted disease? The wealth generated by capitalism has led to an unprecedented rise in global health and reduction in diseases of all kinds. Like, take a look at malaria. Malaria death percentages dropped by over 1/3 between 1990 and 2017. Or you take a look at just child mortality, children surviving birth and actually growing up. Global deaths per 1,000 births has dropped from 160 in the 50s to just 29 in 2017. Or cancer, right? A huge alarming concern. Well, global cancer deaths per 100,000 people declined by 17% between 1990 and 2017. Again, guys, is this capitalism working? If we stick with capitalism long enough, it might finish solving these problems, including how it's been a bolster for technology. Global access to electricity, for example, 71% in 1990, 87% in 2016. Global access to the internet, it's now at 46% and rising. And then a cost per gigabyte. In 1980, someone was paying $1 million for a gigabyte of data. It's now down to 2 pennies in 2018. Again, capitalism is shrinking those costs. It's allowing people to compete in the marketplace. I think that in the next decade or two, based on these numbers, we have a chance to finish fixing a lot of this broken world, and we shouldn't forsake capitalism. I think for me, one of the things that I love the most about being financially free is that it allows me to think broader and ask really cool questions like, hey, who are the people on this planet that I can serve? Not just in the next company I'm going to create, but with some of the wealth that I've been able to accumulate. Like this last year, my foundation went to Ukraine twice. And my wife joined me on one of those trips, and we were able to donate 300,000 gallons of clean water because that water infrastructure has been in many parts of Ukraine, especially near the war front, has been disrupted. We've been able to bring in heat during the winter for families. We've been able to feed over 50,000 people. But we've also been able to go and do riskier stuff on the front lines by paying ex-special forces to go in and retrieve people that are trapped either behind enemy lines or in a highly disputed area. Last year we put millions of dollars towards that, both my wife and I and our donors collectively. And this next year we'll do more of that. Those options would not be available if we didn't have some level of financial ability or success. I'm just telling you right now, if you're feeling in your heart that you're the one to do it, then you're the one that's been called. You're the one that's chosen. Don't wait for someone else. Be financially successful so you have even more means to do more good on this planet. Capitalism has generated an unimaginable amount of wealth and prosperity around the globe. Of course, there are problems, but it is hard to dispute that life is better with access to modern medicine, technology, and agriculture. And friends, that's the wrap up on capitalism. But beyond that, I know firsthand what it feels like to feel trapped financially, like I have no options. And then because of entrepreneurship and the ability to compete in the market, have had a chance, not a guarantee. A chance is all I need. A chance is all you need to figure out how to do better financially. Because I'll tell you something, having more of this doesn't make your life worse. It is actually contributing globally to a solution. It's a solution on the medical front, the technology front, the financial front. And I want to ask you this very, very important question. Do you want your own life to have more options? That is why I'm a proponent ultimately of helping the new entrepreneur or successful entrepreneur get better at that game. You provide jobs for people, you create opportunities for people, you create innovation on this planet, and you don't really succeed unless you innovate and you make something significantly better. Ultimately, what I'm arguing is that if you become financially free, not only does that make your life better, but you also can't help but make the world better because you're going to spend money, you're going to rotate the wealth, you're going to empower people, you're going to hire people, you're going to have companies, you're going to spend money. All of these things helps actually pass that money around to other individuals. Ayn Rand, a Russian economist, she wrote a very popular book, Atlas Shrugged. It's one of my favorites. And she basically puts capitalism on the stand to be judged. And in a courtroom, essentially has you weigh out this novel and ask someone that has a chance in the free market to innovate and create value and get rewarded handsomely for it, is it good or is it bad? And after you read the book, I think what you ultimately arrive at is that money is in the eyes of the beholder. Good people will do really good things with money, and they're the ones that are creating this acceleration in our world today, and I'm inviting you to be a part of that. Now, if you don't have financial options to make a lot more money or to become financially free, click the link below, and I'll have a member of my team personally reach out, put me, as it were, in your shoes and say, hey, if I were you, based on the choices you've made in life, here's some of the other choices I would make to become financially free as quickly as possible. Click the link, get a free game plan. It doesn't cost you anything. But what I will promise is that it will reveal options that you likely have not thought of that can lead to changing everything financially for your future. If you're ready to continue your journey on capitalism, let's talk passive income. What are choices that you make and investments that you make that have money working for you so that someday you no longer have to work? Well, Passive Income 101 is coming up right here on this video that I made just for you.